just mention that you want to learn Python. So do not.
Please wait for 2 or 3 minutes. When all are joining, then we can start. Good afternoon, all. Please wait just 5 minutes. We can start on 10. Now, 7 in 10 we can start. Okay, we can start now. Okay, so I can start this from the basic, like if you are a fresher or giving interview in .NET, so I can start like that way. If you are fresher, firstly I will cover basic question, and in the last and in the next class or same class, l- then we can go to a advanced question. So firstly in .NET question, we can cover basic first. Tabs. Okay, so this is the simple CRUD operation in a .NET Core. So if you are fresher, what will be the important question here? First important question here, like this is when you can create this project. So automatically it provide this file application.json file. So first important question, why we use appsetting.json file? So I can added this, but I also add these questions here. First question is, okay, I can take that. First question is, why we use app setting.json file. This is the most important question. If you are fresher and you are not able to answer, if like this shows you are not working in a .NET Core. So first is app setting.json file. So here app setting.json file is used to write all our configuration. Like in our project have any configuration we can write here. For example, if you can use for example, send grid, value, JWT configuration, all the configuration we can write here. So it used to write all the configuration of your project. So I also show you here. For example, this is for the JWT token based authentication. So you can see here. Here we also write the JWT configuration, same like you can use the send grid to send email, to video to send SMS. So all the configuration, like your system will use any configuration, that configuration we can write here in the app setting.json file. So is it clear to everyone? And also you can see already we are added our connection string here. So is it clear app setting .json file, or have any question related to this question? You can answer me. Okay, okay. So I also write here simple explanation. You can read the explanation or definition anywhere in the Google. They are a multi, but you when you can give a like in an interview, sometime interview will ask you cross question, but you don't have a full understanding. So that time you are not able to give the answer. So after this, if you can read any definition, so you can easily understand. And in interview, anyone ask you cross question like where we can save a JWT configuration, where we can save the connection string, so you can easily answer this question. Okay, so I can simply in one line I will give it. So it is used to add the configuration of our project. Like here we are use save our connection string, we are saving our connection. For example, connection string JWT configuration, Twilio or any configuration, Twilio or SendGrid or any project configuration, we can write here in app setting JSON file. So this is the basic question when we can create a .NET application or in a project in .NET Core. So this is the pre-build. It will provide this JSON file. Second question is why we use a program.cs file. So in the program.cs file, we can write our register our all the services. For example, if you are using dependency injection types like singleton, scope, transist, all the dependency we can register here. And also we can add here all our middlewares. For example, you can make a global exception handling middleware or a custom middleware. So all the middleware we can add it here. For example, this is the pre-built middleware that .NET provide when we can create a new project. This is the pre-built middleware. So if anyone asks you what is the pre-built middleware in .NET Core, so these are the pre-built middleware. For now, our question is what is the program.cs? So I can write here. Second question is what is program.cs? Sorry, why we use. So in a program.cs, I already cleared here, but we can do here register. We can register our application DB context and connection string. You can see here. Firstly, before covering this, first question will be what is the application DB context? So application DB context, here we can insert DB context, that is the main class of anti-framework core. So second question with our second question will be anti-framework core, and after that I will cover this program.cs. So I will give it to, and this is the third question. Why we make it's like it's not a pre-built created, it we can create it by ourselves. When we can simply create this class, and here we can inherit it this class dv context, that is the main class of Microsoft anti-framework.core. So I will add here why we make a application dv context, dv context class. Okay. So this is our application DB context. Application first question is what is the anti-framework core? So it is like a bridge between your application and your database. It will track all the changes. For example, you are adding new. For example, here I can make a model class user. For example, you are adding new user, deleting the user, getting all the user, updating the user. So all the things will be handled by anti-framework core. So if I remove this namespace, so you can see here it's giving the error. So it's we can get with the help of this anti-framework core. So it's a simple bridge between your application and database. It track all the changes you are updating, adding or deleting. And before anti-framework core, why it's also very important question. Why it's an important question? Before, when we are not using anti-framework core, every time we need to write like this row SQL query. But with the help of anti-framework core, same code we can do like that way. Variable employee context dot user find. So it's a easy to write the code and easy to maintain, and it's a cleaner approach, you can say. Because if you can write a longer row SQL query like that way, sometime you can do mistakes here. But here all the code will be a clean approach. So that's why we are using, in every new project we can use a anti-framework code. Okay. And inside this, here we can use a dv set. So this is your class that you can make here. You can make here, and this is your table name that is created in the database. So user, in the database, our table name will be users. So this is the formal way when we can take the, for example, here our table name or class name product. So in the database we can say products. So that's why we can make here application DB context, and every table we can add it here. For example, next I can make a table product, I can make a table order. So all the things I can add here in the application DB context. So is it also clear what is the anti-framework core and why we make a application DB context? Why we use anti-framework core? Okay, Abhishek Kumar, what is the namespace? Okay, so here you can see namespace, this one namespace using Microsoft Anti-Framework Core. This is not a pre-build. For using this Anti-Framework Core, when we can create this project, we can install three packages. So our first package, how you can install this package, you can go here, tools, and here this is the option Nugget Package Manager, and after that you can go here Nugget Package Manager for solution, and here you can install the three package. For example, we want a AF core. For basic, we want a three package AF core. This is the bridge between your application and database. Second one is a SQL server, means which database you are using. If you can use another PostgreSQL or a MongoDB, so that time you can change. For now, we are using here SQL server. And last one is use tools. Tools is used to add the migration and update database. For example, here we are making this project from the scratch, and that time we can follow code first approach. So in anti framework core, I can add here. So in anti framework core, AF core is divided, has divided into two parts. First one is code first approach and database first approach. So here we are following code first approach. So that's why we need to add migration and update database. That's why we can install this package. So you, if you can hover here, you directly see this will do all the, with the help of anti-framework core, we can get this class dv context and dv set that we already write in our application dv context. Next one is SQL Server, and third one is tools. So if I search here tools, so you can see here Microsoft Anti-Framework got tools. Here it helps to use this command: add migration, vendor migration, drop migration, remove migration, update migration. So when we are following code first approach, we need to add that table in the database. We need to run one command, like that is the add migration and update database. Yeah. Sarah, model first approach is also there. Yeah, here we are using uh, code first approach, or you can say also model first approach. It means firstly we can create this table and we can add the migration and then add the database. Second one is a code first approach. For example, you have a already data, and for example, you can migrate your website from previous version MVC to .NET Core, and you already have a database. That time we can follow database first approach. For now, we are following code first approach. I can simply show you. For example, here I will add a new class here. I will add here class product. This is the basic thing. Public int description. I can create this table. After that, we need to go here in the tools and get package manager and package manager console. And here I can write add migration and Yeah, I can give the name. Here we can add the migration name. For example, we are adding migration for the product table. So I can write here add migration, and we can give the table name. Sorry, already we can write here. I can write here add any name you can give here, product table, and after that you can add here enter. So here your migration will be created in memory, and when you can run this update database command, after that it will be created in the database. So running these command, we need to install this package, that is a tools. So you can see here, this is our migration. This is created empty migration. Why it's created a empty migration? Because this table we are created here and not added here. We need to add here also. If you are not added here, so you can get like this migration. So I can add here public dv set products, and after that I can go here. For example, this migration, if you can see, this migration will be created here. I don't want this migration, so I can simply run here command remove migration. So this migration will be removed from here. From here, so you can see this migration will be removed from here, and I can again add this migration, and you can see now this migration will be created. ID is a primary key and auto generated, and for like auto increment, and name and description will be a string value. So this is created in memory migration. So how it will be showing in the database with the help of update database. So when I run here command update database, so this table will be created in the database. So like that it will be work. So this is our application DB context or anti framework core. EF core is the bridge between our application and database, and it track all the changes. For example, you are adding, updating, deleting any record in the database. Okay. So here we can implement the code first approach. Database first approach we can follow when we have already database. That time we are not running this command add migration. That time we can only run the command update database, and we don't need to just we can create this model and don't run this command, because already this command we can run to make that table in the database. So in that case table already created in the database. So this is our second question. Third question is a why we use a program.cs file. So here we can register all the dependency, middleware, and any custom. For example, you can make a role based authentication. So JWT configuration we can do here. Like if you can see here, check. So you can see here all the middlewares we can add here, JWT configuration we can add here. So all the things like this is also the first file. Like anyone ask you question like what is the first file when we can run this application. So program.cs is the first file where that will be run in the first like your starting file. So here you can see same I can add our dependency injection here. For example, I can make a custom method here to implement the dependency injection. So this is for the dependency injection. Here I can register our services because here I think I can implement a onion architecture too. So that different path because our interface and service in another class library they stored our data. So these are all the things we can add here. For example, this is the global exception handler middleware, global middleware. So that all we can add it here. So this is the important, also important question where we can register our global exception, how we can do a global exception handler. So with the help of app.use middleware, and here we can make a custom middleware and add it here. So these all the configuration we can write here in our program.cs file. So next question will be how to read migration files keys. Like it with the help of anti-framework core, and I will show you one more SQL server. Wait a minute. First I will give the definition. Here we can register all the dependency and we add all the middleware here in the program.cs file. You can read the definition or definition from anywhere. I'm just giving one line explanation or definition here. So you can see here, it's a question for Abhishek Kumar. So I think I added migration, which table? Yeah, here I can add this product table and you can see this is the migration will be created add product table. So this all the migration will be saved here to track all the changes. If I go here, yeah, here. So our database name will be, I can get from here in the app setting, sorry, app setting.json file. So this is our database name. So I can check our database here. There are multiple database. So I want to get DV user management. So this is our database, I think. Let's check again. DV user management. Yeah, this one. So you can see this product table is created here after adding the migration and update database. Like new table we can create it here, this one. Product we can add it name and description and ID. So same table will be created here. And here is one table here, DVO EF migration history. So here we can add it all the migration. So you can see here our last migration will be this add product table. So this track all the changes, but it will do anti-framework convert all our link queue queries and C# objects to a row SQL queries automatically. Before that, we need to write like this row SQL query. But these things all handled by anti-framework core. We can write queries like that way. For example, if you can see here, if I controller. You can see here I can write the CRUD operation to adding record to get the list. So here we are getting the select star from users. So these query we can write, but here we can write simple link queue queries here context user dot to list. So when it goes to here database because it's only understand the row SQL query. So anti framework core automatically convert it to a row SQL queries and fetch the data and give us here. If you can here in this variable, you can get list of users. Okay. and like that way it will track all the changes. So every time when I can add any migration, so that migration ID will be saved here. So you can see here, this is same as that will be showing here, this ID 731. Let's check. So you can see here 731 add product table. Okay, is it clear now? Okay, our next question will be, I can open this video. Okay. First question is, it's not a fourth question. What is a class and object? So class is, you can see here, this is the class we can create it, like which fields, for example, what is the client requirement, which fields he want. For example, in product table, he want a product name, product price, or product, like which requirement it have. So same, that requirement we can add here. So in the class, it's a just blueprint. It does not take any memory. It only take the memory when we can create the object of this class, when we can actually adding data in this class. So this is the first question. Let's check here. A class is a blueprint used to create object, and object is the instance or like it's a when you can actually add the values in the class that contain data and behavior. So these, in the class we can define these fields, and also we can easily define here methods. So this is the basic and simple question. Second question is, what is the constructor? So this is also important question for the fresher. So you can see here, I can show you here. So this is the constructor. Constructor means it is a like track all the changes when we can sorry. First question is, what is constructor? Constructor is the special member function which is automatically called when we create the object of the class. So here we can use the constructor, and inside the constructor we can inject our interface to implement the dependency injection. So here we can use solid principle last dependency inversion or dependency injection here. So that's why we can inject here rather than writing all the code here. We can inject our interface here. For example, you can see here we are not using any dependency injection. We can directly inject here our application DB context, and all the business logic we can write here. So this is not a good approach and clean approach. We can follow solid principle, and we can implement a dependency injection. Dependency injection simply means rather than writing all the code here, we can call from the outside. So firstly, I can write here, what is a constructor? Constructor is the special member function, is the special member function which is automatically called when we create the object of the class. And here we also cover one another question, that is a dependency injection. What is a dependency injection? Dependency injection also very important question in a .NET interview. Like I will give you five important question. First one is, you can prepare all the solid principle, OOPS concept, middleware, and JWT token. So this is the most. If you are not prepare any other question, you can prepare these five topics. So 50 and 70% question will be from there. If you are fresher or experienced, if you are fresher, they are just expecting you can give the simple definition, but if you are experienced, So they will expect you can explain these the things in detail, like how you can implement these things in your project. Okay. So next question is, what is the dependency injection? This is the most important question. I can also write here, important, most important. Okay. Dependency injection, I can give here a simple definition. You can read from anywhere. Dependency injection means rather than writing all the code in same controller in same controller or class, we can call from outside. From outside. Why we do this? To implement the clean approach, or to achieve the loosely coupled, and so that we can easily extend our code. Because what is a solid principle? Solid principle means we can write our code like that way, so we can easily, that is easily maintainable, easily if you want to expand, so easily expand and easily testable. So for this requirement, in every new project and every previous project, we can try to implement dependent solid principle. So this is the last, D means, so this is the solid. D means dependency injection. D means here dependency injection. Dependency injection, or you can say inversion. So I can show you two or three example to explain this question. For example, you can see here in the first one, I can't follow dependency injection. I can directly write our all the business like logic here, to getting list, to adding new record in the database, to find by ID. All the code I can directly write here. But you can see here I can use a dependency injection. You can see here I can use, we can inject here our interface. If I go here interface, so this is the definition. So here we can inject in our service class, we can inject this our application DB context, and here we can write our business logic. So all the adding from the database, deleting, so all the things we can do here. If you can hear interface, here we can just define. This is the also important question. What is the interface? So sixth question will be, what is the interface? What is the interface? So interface, in an interface, we have just declared the method, and we can achieve a abstraction with the help of interface. And in anti-framework core, we can able to implement multiple inheritance with the help of uh, interface. So sometime interview will ask you question how we can implement multiple inheritance in C#. So we can implement multiple inheritance with the help of interface. Okay. So what is our first question? First question is the dependency injection. Okay. So here we can just declare the method, and you can see here we can achieve the abstraction. We can hide all the detail. So all the business logic we can right here, but in the controller we are just calling the method that we can define in our interface. So here we are just calling this method get all, get by id, and this want this parameter. So in the add pass this parameter, in update I can pass this parameter, in delete it want id. So here we can write the abstraction. Abstraction means hiding the internet details and showing only the essential things or these method names. So same thing we can do. All the business logic we can write here, where we can inherit this product service, and in controller we can inject our interface here, and we can call all the method here. So is it clear? Anyone have any questions? So you can write here. Anyone have any question? Type yes or no. Yeah, we can create a multiple services. You can see here uh, in the program.cs file here I can register this our the service here. Same like if you want to service for the product, service for the user, so you can make a I user service and product service where you can write the logic, so you can add here multiple uh, dependency here. Okay. Okay, so that's why it's important every dependency we can register here. So in a dependency injection we have a three types. This is the dependency injection. I just give you just definition. Its name, because of the other question we have a multiple question. Add singleton, add scope, and last one is add transist. Add singleton means it create only one object and it will be used throughout all the application. For example, if you make a middleware anything, so you can make a one middleware and it will use for the all controller. So it's just for understanding. That's why we are using. It will create only one instance or object for the entire application. Next one is add scope. It will create an instance per HTTP request. Like every time, for example, you are making for the add, update, delete per request. So it will create a instance or object per HTTP request. That's why we can add all our services here. So you can see here I am using here add scope. And last one is add transist, so it will create a new instance every request. So it will create new instance every request, not per request. For example, you can email service every time you want a new email goes to a user, so that time you can use add transist. So these are the three types of this. Next one is the interface. So in the interface we are just declare the method. In the interface we are we are only giving the definition of the method, and the implementation we can do in the implementation we can do in the service. And with the help of interface we can implement dependency injection. With the help of interface we can implement dependency injection. Also we can implement abstraction. Or next question is uh, how we can implement multiple inheritance in C#. We can implement multiple inheritance in Sisha. This is the most important question. If you are not a, like sometimes it's a tricky question, so we can implement multiple inheritance with the help of interface. We can implement multiple with the help of interface. So sometime interviewer will ask you question how you can implement abstraction. So if you don't have an idea how you can implement abstraction, so you can simply give the answer like simple definition. But sometime they will ask you how you can implement abstraction in your system. So you can give answer like that way. We can, for example, you can give answer like that way, like we are using interface with the help of interface we can achieve the abstraction that with the help of this we can hide all the details here. You can see here, hide all the implementation here and showing only here method name. If I go to definition, so our definition will be this interface, and same here if I go to implementation, so our implementation will be here in the service where we are getting list of data and find any record, update all the CRUD operation business logic we can write here inside our service. Next question is what is the encapsulation? Encapsulation means wrapping data and method together in a single unit. So all the things. So anyone ask you how you can implement encapsulation. So you can give a I can make a service, business logic or service, and all the method and logic we can write together in a same service. So here we can implement encapsulation. Next question is what is encapsulation? So is it clear? Anyone have any doubt? Good. In single unit. Is it clear? Like these seven question is clear to everyone or have any doubt? You can type here yes or no. Then I move to next question. Hello. Is it clear to everyone? One question. Okay. So I will move to the next question. Constructor assess specify. Next question is what is assess specifier? So you can see here we can use this access specify public, private, protected, internal. These are the access specifier here. Public means this method can be used same class and outside the class. Same means you can see here private we can use here. Private means it can be used only the same class, not used in the outside class. Protected means we can use in the same class and tribe class. So these all method will be there. So specify, define the visibility of class and member. Like it's used in the same class or outside class. It will be include public, private, protected, and internal. Internal will be used same project and is have example types of dependency injection. I already give you examples this. mm, for example, you can take this as a singleton. It will be work same like only one create instance will be created. This is for the add scope. It will create a new object per HTTP request. And add transist, it will be used, for example, you can use the email service. So you can write like that way. I can write here. This is the program.cs. So like that way you can write. For now, I have don't make another model, so I will just explain you here. This is add, like that way you can write add singleton, add transist. So you can define here what's your method will be do. For example, if you can use here make a interface as service for the email, that time you can transist. Like you can create a every time new instance or new object transist. Here scoped, we can create a new instance per HTTP request. It will create only one instance for the entire application. For you can add here your global exception handling method. So you want to only one object for the entire application. Ma'am, could you please tell which type of question are usually asked with client round? Okay, sure, I will explain you. I will give you. It's all our important question, like interview perspective, important question. Mm, like same question we are covered, same question will be asked in the interview. These are the real interview question, how we can implement global exception handling. So that we already cover. These all are the technical questions, like basic, and also if you're experienced, so they will ask you in the advanced way, like how you can implement. If you're fresher, they are just expecting you can give the definitions. So these are the important and technical questions. So one can check here. Sorry, here. This is our PDF. Next interface we already cover abstraction. What is abstraction in C#? This one we already cover. Next one is how we can achieve multiple inheritance in C#. So C# does not support multiple inheritance with the classes. We can achieve multiple inheritance with the help of multiple interface. Next one is a solid principle. This is also very important question. Solid principle are the five design principle that helps to build maintainable and scalable software that improve the code structure and flexibility. First one is a single responsibility principle. So single responsibility principle, a class should have only the single responsibility or single reason to change. For example, this is your class, so this class have only the single responsibility, means we are adding here things that are related to a user, and you can see in the product we can added here things related to a product. So this is the single responsibility principle. For example, if you added here things that are related to other table, for example, have a order table, you can add here order ID that are not belong to this product. So that time you are not follow solid principle. Principle means a class. It means It means a class should have only the one responsibility and one reason to change. Next one is, if you can see here, so this question we will covered here. Next one is dependency inversion principle that we can already cover. Rather than writing all the code, we can call from the outside. Higher level modules should not depend on the lower level module. What should be dependent? So here you can see here all the things will be dependent easily. If we want to extend, we can easily add here method. For example, I can add here method. So all the code is independently work in a same one class. We can add a very less code. So this is the clean approach, like writing a making a very big file, and that time we are not implement the clean approach. For now you can see here this code is clean. You can easily expand. If for example here I can make this method, so how I can use here string name, I want to get my name. So where we need to change, firstly you can change here. So here we can implement this interface. So this method get by name, and here you can give the implementation of this method, and you can easily use this method here. For example, here you want get by name. So here it's, but it's a requirement, it wants a string. You can see here we are passing parameter string name. So it will, here it will require string. So like that way we can easily extend and easily maintain and easily test. So that's why we are follow solid principle. Okay. Next one is, what is the dependency injection and the difference between dependency injection and dependency inversion. So this is almost same. In a depend solid principle, it's called a dependency inversion, like last principle. And dependency injection is a technique to implement this principle. Like all, like both are same. How it's for the injecting, and this is the principle name. So if you can see full form, in the full form is called a dependency inversion is the design principle. Dependency injection means is the technique how you can implement this principle. So it's a like single responsibility class will do. So if you can write the responsibility, so that time you are not follow the solid principle. You can implement, but that time you are not follow solid principle. Next question will be here. Firstly, in solid principle, we have a another question will be a interface segregation principle, or a open second principle will be a open close principle. Wait a minute. Open close principle. Open close principle means here a class or method open for extension but closed for modification. It means second principle will be here. Okay, I already write here. Open close principle means a class should be open for extension but closed for modification. So here, if we want to add a new method, we can easily add here rather than changing the previous method. So this is the second principle, open close principle. Next one is a list scope substitution principle. List scope substitution principle means, for example, we are inheriting any class here. You can see, so in this class we are only add the method that we actually want here. If you are add here unwanted method and don't want the implementation, so you can see here this method, if I don't want, I also showing here if I not do any implementation. So To reduce this, we can follow list of substitution principle. Means in the base class, for example, mainly this is your product table, and here you can inherit the base class. So in the base class, we are adding only the field that we actually commonly use here. For example, this id I want to move in base class. I can add here class that I can use everywhere. And in the base class, I can add a common things, for example, id, created by public, for example, date time, like to save these two things. So here we can add only the things that this class want. Here we are not able to like add a product id and another id, because this class don't want a like order id and product id. So here we can add only the things that we it only would actually want. So here we can inherit base. So that is the list of substitution principle. Next one is the interface segregation principle. Same interface segregation principle means here we are adding method. For example, I will explain you with the help of simple example. I think I already one time. What is the interface segregation principle? It's a mistake, not a correct spelling. You can check spelling. Interface segregation principle means, for example, just you can make a interface here. Interface. Uh, mm, uh, you can make a. I think I already added here working example. Okay. Okay. For example, you can make an interface work cable. Any just student or working. Okay. Here you can make the method just for understanding work interface and method eat and sleep, just for understanding. Okay. And this you can use, you have a two classes, human, this is your human class, and here you can inherit this interface working. So it will used for the human. For example, this is a human. So human can eat, work, and sleep. So this working for human. Work. These three method will work for the human. But same interface when you can insert for a uh, robot, you can say. So robot will not eat or sleep. So that time it will not, it's forcefully inherited the method, because we are mention all the method here. So we need forcefully we need to inherit these all the method. So this is the interface segregation principle. Rather than making a big interface, we can divide into a part. So to solving this, how we can do, we can make a first interface for work cable. This is for the work, and you can make add here method, this one work. And the second one is you can make same like method for eat, eat table, and here it. Next one is you can make same like method for this sleep. and here you can method this. So we can make the method in a smaller parts, and we can divide into every method so anyone can easily use. So human want workable, I can give its I means the interface, I eatable, I sleepable. So I can copy this method and add here, because we can implement multiple inheritance. So I can implement multiple inheritance. So human can work, human can eat, human can sleep. So this is for the human. And for example, robot only uh, doing work, so I can remove this, and here I can insert only this interface here. So this is the interface aggregation principle. Rather than making a big interface, we can divide into chunks, and we can add the like that actually want this interface, not forcefully need to implement this method. So like that way we can implement interface aggregation principle. Okay, so is it clear to anyone, everyone? So here our question will be a main features. So here pre-build, it will provide a pre-build dependency injection, pre-build middlewares. So these are the main features of ASP.NET Core. Middleware is the middleware are the component in the request pipeline that handle the request and response in an ASP.NET Core application. So, what is the middleware? Like before hitting your controller, it will check where like it is a correct data, and before hitting this method, it will check here. For example, I can show you, because I am already showed you program.cs is the first file when we can start this application. So this will be the first class or first file will be run. So here that's why we can register our all the things. So you can see here. So I think I close this. So you can see here, first will be here. I can close this, and here I can added this global exception handling. So what we can do, like before hitting, what is the middleware? Before hitting, it is the request pipeline, or I can explain you in simple way. For example, you are going in airport, and before taking a flight, you will like it's a security will check all your bags and all, security will check all your documents and all the things. So same like exception handling will like middleware will work, like it will handle every HTTP request. For example, before hitting this method, it will check like this is the proper format or any error. So it will detect and it will go back to here. So we can add it especially middleware here. So this is the we can make a custom middleware to handle the global exception handling. So this is if we get any not found record, bad request, internal server error, so we can directly throw exception here. So this is help to improve the performance of our system, rather than it goes here and after that it will throw the error. We can directly define here. So when we can get the hit, you can directly throw the uh, exception here before hitting this method. So this is the middleware. And yeah, next question will be interview will ask you, can we create a custom middleware? So yes, we can create a custom middleware. Next question, application DB context that we already covered. Program.cs file, we already covered. Uh, Appsettings.json file, it's also we already clear. Next question is how we can manage the connections configuration in ASP.NET Core. It's we already quite clear. So all the configuration are managed using appsettings.json JSON file, environment variable, secret manager, all the secret things we can add in our ASP.NET Core. Next one is the EF migration history. So I already show you this is our EF migration history. We'll save all the migration. If we have in our system have a 15 migration, so all the 50 migration will be stored here. And our next question will be HTTP method. So we have mainly five types of HTTP method. First one is HTTP delete, HTTP get, post, HTTP delete, put and patch. Get we use when we want to getting any data from the database. Post means when we are creating or adding new data in the database. Deleting means when we are deleting data in the database. Put means when we are updating data in the database, and patch also used for the update. Only difference between them, it update partial update. For example, if you want only change one field, that time you can use a patch. If you want to change update all the model, that time you can use a put. So this is the difference between put and patch. So these are the HTTP method. Next question will be here. But are the codes? Codes means uh, codes allowed or restrict requests from the another domain. For example, your backend will be in a .NET and your front end will be in a Angular. So that time we need to allow the codes to like another domain or another port can access our APIs. For example, I can show you here. Mm, So so these all the configuration same we can use in the program.cs file. So you can see here. So you can see here we can write all the logic to enable the codes. For example, our Angular will be running in this port 4200. So here we can firstly make one policy, builder.services.add codes. What is the codes? Codes means cross origin resource sharing. It's also important question. It's a service to application that helps or allow Angular or front-end application. For example, your front-end application will be in Angular React that running in a different port, for example, that are running in a different word and want to access this controller method to adding data in the user table or doing this current operation. So what we can do, firstly we will make here a policy, and policy name is allow Angular. A policy means a set of rules that define external application can access our backend API. First we can write policy dot with origin means it can access this port. If I write here any reason, it means it can access any port, any Angular front-end port. If I pass here 4201, 4203, so any port can easily access. It allow like any port can easily access. If I write here with any origin, for now I can write here with origin means you can only send request with this port. If you can send request with another port, so that time you are not able to get these API URLs. Next one is the allow header. Allow header is used, for example, when you are using JWT token with authentication. So that time we are using allow headers. Next one is allow method. Means you are able to get all the method like read data, to insert data, update data, delete data. So these all method you can easily access, and after this we can enable here in the last we can same we can make here middleware. Check the incoming request is allow to the core policy, so same keyword, same policy name I can pass here, so that time we can access this. Okay, so is it clear to anyone, or anyone have any question related to this course question? Sorry, this one. So this is the course. Is it clear to everyone why we use a course? Say yes or no. Okay. So our next question is, why do we why do we store JWT configuration in Appsettings.json file? So this is already clear. This is JWT is the most important topic in .NET interview, and sometime interview will ask you what is the flaw of implement JWT token with authentication. So I think this is the like which company, like it's a like real interview question, and you can see here also question related to how is the authentication handled JWT token. Like one question will be occur, this is the interview for the 8 plus experience. So this is the most important topic. Why do we store JWT configuration in appsetting.json file? I can show you here. For example, this is our appsetting.json file, and here we can write this configuration. First one is we can make this section JWT, because here we can write all the JWT configuration here. First one is we can add here key. So how much? So this key is a 32 bytes and 256 bits, because here we can use this algorithm JWT token with algorithm. We are using this one. We are using this one as 256 wide widths. So this algorithm we are using, so that's why we need to make this key 256 widths or 32 wide. So firstly we will make here secret key, and we can add this secret key in our token, so that our token will be secure and no one get, because this is the configuration, not no any outsider will get this information. So that's why we can write here all the confidential things here, like all your passwords and all the global password and configuration we can write here. Next one is the issuer. Issuer means who will generate this token. For example, your backend application is the issuer. Your front-end audience means who will use this token. Like your front-end or another website will use this your APIs. So this is audience. Next thing is expire minute. Like after how much times or how much minutes after that your token will be expire. So you already see some time, you can log in anywhere, and after like 1 hour or 60 minutes you need to log in again, re-log in. So that happen will be there, because here we can set the time expire minute. So our token will be expire after 60 minutes. So there, that's why we can write all the configuration here, and this configuration we can use in our auth service. So you can see here, when I can generate here token for the user, so our token will be divided into three parts. So I think this is the next question. Our token is divided into three parts: header, payload, and signature. First one is the header. In the header we can save the uh, algorithm information. I can show you simple example for the this. mm, this one. So like that way, your token will be divided into three parts. First one is a header, second one is a payload, and third one is a signature. And how it will be separate? It will be separate by dot. Sometime it will ask in the .NET interview question, like how token will be separate. It will be separate with the help of dot. So in the header, we can save here. If you can go here in the header, we can save which algorithm we are using. So this is your header. You can use here this. Uh, this algorithm SH256 algorithm. There are a multiple algorithm. For now here we are using this algorithm to make the token. And what is the claim and payload? Sometime it will ask you what is the payload. Payload means which information you are which information and claim you are using in the token. For example, you are created in a token, and where you can save the information like what is the username, what is the user role, id, first name and last name. So when you can access the token, you can log in with the help of username and role. If you have a role admin, for example, if we implement role based authentication, so that time it's helpful, because you can in the inside the token, inside the payload, you can save the information, name and role. So with the help of this, you can find like for which user this token will be created. So in the payload, and we can save the user information, and in the last is signature, where we can add the secret key. So with the help of every time our token will be created, so it will convert all our these token to this one encoded. It will be convert to a like it's a secret key, and your token will be generated like that way. Like if you can see JWT tokens, so you can see like that your token will be working, but it will be encoded. So and no anyone can access. First one is which algorithm you are using, and second one is which information you are using. Here we can save payload, header and secret key. So where we can get this secret key, that secret key we are added in the appsetting.json file. So sometime this is the structure of JSON web token, and this is your token, and how in the last like that way it will be created. This is your final token, and you can see it is a separate white dot. First one is this is header, and this is payload, and this is your signature. So like that it will be divided. You can read the definition. There is a very good and detailed definition. So is it clear to everyone what is a JSON token, why we add this in app setting, how much divides is? You can see here, they are the two different types of algorithm. For now, we are using this hash based message authentication code. Second one is this one. So this is the simple. You just understand this flow. First one, you have to knowledge about what is a payload. Sometime interview will ask you like directly this question: what is a payload, what is a signature, what is a header? So in the header simply we can type type is a JWT, which algorithm we are using. Payload, we can save the user information, what is the user role, is admin or not, id, like it's depend on you. But we can save definitely save a name and role, so we have an idea what is a user. So if you are not user, save user information, how you will find which talk, like for which user this token will be created. And the signature, we can save like our secret key, header, payload and secret key. So like that way it will be work. So is it clear to everyone? Okay, so next question is same, JWT authentication. We already clear here. To secure our APIs or data, we can log in with the help of passwords. And role-based authentication. So how you can implement role-based authentication? For example, here you can make another controller, and here you can write here like this controller will be accessed to a which your role will be admin or will be employee. So like that way, firstly you can log in with the help of user, and after that you can add the token, and then you are able to assess like uh, which user we can create this token. So these all we are covered. how we can secure the ASP.NET with the help of authentication, authorization, HTTPS, token with security like zero LT. We can secure our application. Next one is the dependency injection that we already covered. Dependency injection is the design pattern used to inject dependency into class. It improve test ability and loose coupling. That is we already covered. So you can see here we can inject dependency with the help of constructor. Service are registered in the services. We can register in our program.cs file, add scope, add singleton and transist, and they are injected by constructor. Next one is what is the DI service lifetime. So this I already clear singleton, scope and transist, like how control and how long service is live and how it will be used. Next one is the anti-framework code that also we are covered. This is the ORM, Object Relation Mapper framework for the .NET. It allow developer to work database using C# objects. So before that we are using row SQL queries, but now we can communicate with the help of C# objects. It automatically convert to a when it goes to a database to a row SQL queries. Next question is why we do a user DB context. So DB context represent a session with the database is responsible for querying, saving, tracking all the changes. Next one is what is the DB set in EF4. So DB set represent a table in a database and it allow performing CRUD operation on entity. For example, like all the table we can add it here. You can see here in the DB set. So this name will be created in our database. So here I can give the product. So you can see here. Here our table name will be products and user. So when we create any table, we need to add here in the application DB context inside the public DB set. If you are not created, you can get a anti-migration. Okay. Next one is what is the eager loading and lazy loading. Eager loading means you can, for example, you have a three tables and you are firstly fetch data from the order table and all are have a foreign keys and attached with the help of foreign keys. So in a lazy loading, you can one by one you can find get the data. In eager loading, you can get data in a single query. So eager loading loads related data immediately in a single query. Lazy loaded, for example, you are fetching data three tables, so it will divide into three queries, and it will not a good approach, and it will impact the performance. So this is good for eager loading when you are fetching. So in one query, we can get all the data from the database. In lazy loads, related data only when it's assessed. Next one is as node tracking. As node tracking is used to improve the performance while our system while disabling change tracking. So you can see it is used only read only queries. For example, in a get all method, you are just getting data from the database. That time we are disable tracking because we are not changing anything. So that time we can write here as no tracking, so it will improve the performance. For example, in your user table have a 15 like 1000 records. So if you are not add this as no tracking, so it will track all the changes, but that impact the performance. So that's why we are writing this. Next one is a but are the split queries. So we are using as split query. For example, sometimes we have a very longer queries like C# objects, like I can explain you here. For example, here you are getting data from the this list. You are, for example, you are adding a product inside product table, order inside user table. So you are fetching data from the multiple table in one query. So that time we are using as split query. So here we are passing only one query, but that when it goes to here database, so it divide into a chunks. So that time we can use a as split query to split that query in the database. So same thing we can write here. Split queries break the complex query into multiple queries. That this improves the performance when loading large related data. Link queue, we already use all the our queries in a link queue. Next one is what is the INumerable and iQueryable. INumerable execute queries in the memory and iQueryable execute queries at the database level. So it will get all the data from the database. After that, it will filter the data. In iQueryable, it will give us filter data. And next one is what is the link queue, how we can implement pagination and searching. So with the help of this formula, we can implement pagination and searching. I can show you here. If you can see here I implemented pagination and searching. Okay. So you can see here, we can write this code to implement the pagination and searching. This one. So how it will be work? Your page number will be 2. Then you can skip the first 10 record. So this is the formula. Sometime it asks in the interview write the formula to implement the pagination and searching. Okay. Next one is the DTO. DTO is used to improve the performance of our system and to write the uh, means for example with the help of it's used for the security purpose rather than showing your domain model directly to the user. We can communicate with the help of DTOs. So I think you can see here, he can here we can make a different DTO, order response, order request. Rather than directly showing our order table, we can communicate with the help of in DTO. So it will helps to improve the system of performance, because you can see here we are adding only field that we are I want. For example, in order table have a 15 fields. I want only ID, so I can make here DTO and get only ID. But if you are not using DTO, so every time you will get all the record and you can use only user ID. So that will impact the performance of our system. That's why we are using DTO to improve the performance and for the security purpose. Next one is the repository pattern that we already clear. We can implement interface and service. That is, it means we are following repository pattern. Next one is a global exception handling. This we already covered. A sync and a way to implement so that our thread will not block. Allows tasks to run without blocking the main thread. It will helps to improve the performance and scalability. So you can see here everywhere we can use mm, here everywhere we are using task, and in the here we are using async and await everywhere. Here we are using async and await. So what it will be do, so rather than blocking the thread, for example, this create one, we are using thread one, and it will take a like 50 second to create this record in the database. And after getting this response, for you can understand this one get all method, it will take a data from the database and do all the implementation. So thread one will take a 5 minute, sorry, 50 second or 40 seconds. So that time that thread goes to a wait will wait that response, and that thread goes to a thread pool and used for the another resources where it will be needed. After that we can get response here in the await. uh, it will be like assigned to any available thread in the thread pool. So this is the asynchronous programming. Before that, if you are not using this, for example, you are using here thread one, that is blocked until you are not get the response. So this is the asynchronous programming. This we already clear. Async and await we already use here. Async and await. Everywhere we can use here. So you can see here we can use async and wait. So these are the top 50 question. Next we will cover in the next class. So thank you for joining this class. And please like, share, comment if this class will be helpful for you.